Pete McNeil here with Craft Brewing Business. We're at New Belgium Brewing in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm with Michael Kraft. He's with their community outreach program. Kraft is actually his real last name, so that was not superimposed for the interview purposes. So, Michael, thanks for having us.
Thanks. My dad had the same name.
That's
his dad.
That's very coincidental.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Michael, tell us a little bit about how things started. You guys have been here about a year now.
Yeah, a little over a year and a half. We've been open in the tasting room here in what we call the Liquid Center. We've been brewing beer for a couple of Novembers now, and it's been a really big process. You know, after 25 years of adding on to places in Fort Collins, our brewery, what we call the mothership there. It was really cool to be able to come and be a part of a project where we could really lay this whole thing out and use the space that it was designed for.
Right.
So just like the French Broad here behind you, the whole process really flows north. And it's been a really, really cool experiment and experience to be here to be a part of it.
So, I mean, you started with the open plan, so you guys were able to customize it to your liking.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what kind of challenges you faced, not just choosing a location, but also when you decide on the location to build, and then anything beyond that, as far as differences in the beer or the taste based on water, based on local use, anything like that you can.
Yeah, there's all those things we were challenged with. Fortunately, Asheville has a really similar water. I mean, our water source is so clean here and pure, just like Colorado. That's why there's so many breweries in Fort Collins. There's so many great breweries here in Asheville. And so it actually took a lot less time than we thought to make sure that the fat tire that we make here in Asheville tastes exactly like the fat tire in Fort Collins. We didn't have a big enough squad for people to taste beer on our quality trained folks, and so we were sending beer to Fort Collins for a while and making sure it was getting on its taste panel.
You could have invited the crew of Craft Brewing Business down. We would have helped take care of that. But
now we know. But like with anything, the technology alone was so advanced from what we did in Fort Collins. It ended up actually taking a couple minutes off of brew times and stuff, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're cranking it out, it really made a big difference. So we're really fortunate with that. And then, just like in Fort Collins, when you get to go do a tour there, when we expanded, we had to kind of like move around and turn people's offices into labs and all that stuff. And I've never used the word the word thoughtful more than I ever have. Like, it just was a very thoughtful process of how the building was going to lay out. Not to mention just the landscaping alone. This is, an 18-acre brownfield. And so New Belgium wanted to take the opportunity, wanted to buy a brownfield so that we could actually clean up a spot before we started building.
So what went into the remediation process of the brownfield? I mean, that's a very expensive undertaking.
years of uncovering a lot of things. There's an auto parts salvage yard here. We used to host circuses here, which I think is kind of fitting for us in New Belgium to be baking beer here. There's also, a stockyard auction. So all of that stuff was really leaching into the ground. And then there's a Penland Creek, which really cuts the property in between the brew house and the LC. And all of that was really leaching into the French Broad. So we took this opportunity to really clean it all up. And we literally cleaned, feet of dirt on this 18 acres.
So you had a challenge coming into it? And
you guys on purpose, though. Yeah, on purpose. Some of the folks that were a part of the site selection team really wanted to find that as a way to give back. New Belgium's really into like being a force for good, and so this was just another opportunity to do so. But back to some of the challenges, just getting the vessels here from across the ocean and then to the port. I mean, the Lauderton alone took something like 7 weeks to get here because the Department of Transportation could only transfer it for like two hours a day from 3:30 to 5:30 in the morning. And we couldn't put the roof on the place until that happened. So the first party we kind of threw was actually for the NCDOT. And drank all the beer. But it was good. It was good. And then we've been really hyper-local with all of the art here and really the hiring here. I'm one of just a handful of people that had the opportunity to come out here and help out with the project out here in Asheville. But for the most part, we're at 135 people right now, so over 100 and change all came from the backyard here.
What's your production size here?
Well, it's half of New Belgium, so 500,000 barrels. Okay. And we're not doing that just yet. We're not 24 hours, but it was built to get there at some point.
Okay, so you're not running at 100% capacity right now, but in the future, you guys...
Well, we hope so.
Right.
Certainly want to use all the capacity we can. It's been a nice, easy year and a half ease breaking the equipment in and all that stuff. And some of the time is really allowed for a lot of more maintenance or clean that normally we wouldn't have to do because we'd be cranking it out.
you guys are doing some pretty cool experimental stuff these days.
Oh my gosh!
The geisha is a particular interest. For me personally. But,
we'll have to get into that a little later.
So.
I'm glad that you're here because I haven't had much of that myself, and we'll just have to open a bottle.
Very good.
But Lauren Woods Limbach has been just our Jedi fooder blender for forever now, and our program, the sour beer program, is quite old at New Belgium, 20 plus years. And if you were in Fort Collins, you would see just giant oak fooders everywhere where the production used to be. That's actually where I started, and we took it over with giant oak fooders. But this is a pretty bold beer, an experiment. That coffee bean is so sought out. It kind of revolutionized coffee tasting, and then to blend it with our Oscar has made it a really, really unique beer. And Lauren's been talking about how, like, don't save this thing, don't cellar it, drink it. And thankfully there's some bottles left because I heard Fort Collins already sold out.
Wow.
Just a couple days ago.
I think I'm going to be taking a few of those home with me.
All right,
so
good.
keep them up. Tell us, where do the beans come from?
Panama, actually. And we're specifically roasted in Fort Collins at the Bean Cycle, which is good friends of ours. And so they kept talking about how they literally had one shot at doing this because the amount of beans that they got, they wanted to roast and then
Do it right the first time, or
and it was a roll of the dice. Wow. Yeah, there was no test batches. It was, Lauren talks about how she'd been thinking about this beer for 2 years, so it was a really big, bold experiment. The responses we've gotten so far have been really tremendous, which is really nice. It's really,
very cool.
Really great beer.
What, it's a weird question to say, after what you guys have just done here in the past year, but what's next? What do you guys have in front?
I think 2018 is looking big for New Belgium. I think our sour program is going to continue to go forward. It seems to be finally finding its stride, for the 20 years. We got a lot of tricks up our sleeves, a lot of new stuff coming out. I think it's an interesting time in the market, and we're all finishing up the year, and hopefully everybody's going to buy a bunch of beer for Christmas, and continue making world-class beer.
I promise.
Good.
Or I'm going to try to get it for
We'll start
free,
today.
Well, good. Thanks for joining us today. New Belgium in Asheville, North Carolina. Pete McNeil, Michael Kraft, Kraft Brewing Business, and cheers. Thanks for having us.
Cheers. Thank you.